Hello everyone, I'm Tristan, and today we're going to learn an important grammar function called passive voice. Passive voice is important for daily life, writing, and many English tests, including Toeic. If you do not know passive voice, you cannot get a high score in Toeic. So I'm going to teach you the basics today. So first, let's look at this news headline. Children use rude language more often than in the past. So we see the subject here is children, but you want to focus on rude language. You want that to be the star of this sentence. So you want to start the sentence with rude language. So you will start the sentence with the object, and you start with rude language. So now you have started to make a passive sentence. But we can't say rude language uses because children use rude language. So if you make this passive, you will have your object, rude language. Next, you're going to place a be verb. Now, what is a be verb? Well, there are many different forms of be verbs. Here are most of them. In this sentence, the original is children use rude language. Use is simple tense. So your be verb will be simple tense. So you will use is, are, or am. That's simple tense. We can see rude language is like it. So we will say is. We will pick is. So we have started to make the passive sentence. We have rude language is. Next, the verb you will choose will be past participle. A past participle is like call, called, called. The third one is past participle, or eat, ate, eaten. Eaten is the past participle. So in a passive voice, you will use the past participle after the be verb. So we can see we have use, so it's use, use, used. So you will say rude language is used by children more often than in the past. Notice the passive form, object plus be verb plus past participle, then by subject. Now, a little note, you do not have to use by subject. It is your choice. If you think the subject isn't important, you can remove by subject. Let's practice a little more. Let's look at this news headline. Somebody assassinated the leader. So, what is more important? Somebody, which is the subject, or the leader, which is the object? You probably said the leader, and I agree. So you want the leader to be the focus. So let's make this passive. Start with the object, the leader. Now we need a be verb. Notice the verb tense is simple past, assassinated. So I will use the past tense be verb was. The leader was. Then I will use assassinated because it's assassinate, assassinated, assassinated. So the leader was assassinated. I don't want to use by someone. I don't think it's necessary. So I just have the leader was assassinated. That is passive voice. Let's look at another sentence. Criminals stole the Mona Lisa from the museum. So what is more important, criminals or the Mona Lisa? Probably the Mona Lisa. So that is our object. Criminals stole the Mona Lisa. So I start with the object, the Mona Lisa. Stole is simple past. So my be verb is simple past. The Mona Lisa was, and steal, stole, stolen. So the Mona Lisa was stolen from the museum. I don't need to say by criminals. It's not necessary. Let's look at another one, a different verb tense. A small company is suing Apple for $1 billion. You think Apple is more important. So you start with the object Apple. Now, what is the verb tense? Present continuous. So it says is suing. Well, I change it to is being. Is being sued. Notice is suing becomes is being sued in passive voice. So Apple is being sued for $1 billion by a small company. Let's look at one more. The original, where we have subject, verb, object. The studio has recently released the movie. You decide the movie is the star. So we make this passive. So we start with the movie. Now, what is the verb tense? Has released, present perfect. So we change this to has been. So has been is a be verb. Then the past participle, released. So our sentence, the movie has recently been released by the studio. Let's practice with some Toeic questions. Let's look at number 1. Well, for number 1, the answer is C. A local construction company will renovate the famous restaurant. So we have future tense. We start with the object, the famous restaurant. We keep will, and the be verb after will is be. So the famous restaurant will be renovated. Good enough. If we want by a local construction company, that's fine. Let's look at number 2. Before the cafe closed, it by thousands of customers a day. Well, we won't say it has been frequented because it's already closed. So we don't need present perfect. It's not still open. So remove A. The answer here is B. Had been frequented. Why? Well, customers had frequented it before it closed. So we're using past perfect. And so we start with the object and say, it had been frequented. That's your be verb in past perfect. Finally, number 3. Well, for this one, the answer is C. Despite is a preposition. After despite, you need a noun form, not subject verb or base verb. For example, if I said, despite it had been cleaned thoroughly, the hotel room was still too dirty for guests. This sounds good, but it's wrong because despite is a preposition. I can't have subject verb after despite. So, how do we solve this? Well, you can remove it because the subject is the same in both clauses. It had been cleaned is the hotel room. And then in the next clause, the hotel room was. So in both sentences, we have hotel room. One is it, but we can take it out. Next, turn the verb into a noun. Have is a verb. Change it into a noun by adding ing. Now it's a gerund. So we can say, despite having been. Despite having been cleaned thoroughly, the hotel room was still too dirty for guests. So remember, after despite, we cannot have subject verb. So this was an introduction to passive voice. We didn't get into all the details, but remember, in passive voice, it is object, and then be verb, and past participle. The hard thing is remembering all the different be verbs and making it match. But you can do it. So this is part 1. We'll do a more advanced part 2 later on. So please share, subscribe, like, and keep improving your English. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.